Hey everyone, I'm Kino here, and today we're going to take a look at how to open the hips. And this is a great place to start, just if you're newer to the practice. I know it can be really frustrating when your hips aren't open. So it's really useful just to take the time to figure out like what's going on inside of the hip joint, what is internal and what is external rotation. But more than anything, what I want you to think about is like, what is the journey of opening your hips? What does descending your mind into the inner body and feeling the inner space of the hips, what does that journey represent to you? Sometimes the journey into the hips is often an emotional journey, and by dropping your mind deeper down and feeling that inner space, it can bring up emotional healing and give you a space to really just figure out who you are kind of underneath the veneer of your personality and give you a chance to really make peace with yourself on that level. So we'll start off by bringing the hands together and inhale. Exhale, Om. Closing your eyes for a moment, tuning into the inner body, feeling the sensation of the breath with a steady pace of inhalation and exhalation. Become aware of the sensation of your breath. We'll start off with that simple awareness, counting your breaths backwards from 10. And this helps you tune in the mind to the inner body, regardless of whatever circumstances are happening around you. That inner sanctuary is always there. 10 in, 10 out. 9 in, 9 out. 8 in, 8 out. 7 in, 7 out. 6 in, 6 out. 5 in, 5 out. 4 in, 4 out. 3 in, 3 out. 2 in, 2 out. 1 in, 1 out. Gently allow your eyes to open, keeping your attention in the inner body. Move over onto your hands and knees. Inhale, bringing the knees together, and exhale back to child's pose. And as you're here in child's pose, just feel the breath. Feel the hip joints, feel the space behind the pubic bone. Gently draw the knees towards each other. We'll stay for 5. 1. Feel the hips, feel their placement in space. Feel the space behind the pubic bone. 2. 3. 4. And 5. Then open the knees and allow your torso to just gently slide down. And this is going to help give you a passage into the hip joints. So slide gently, gently down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Gently come up, bringing the knees towards each other, and then inhale, downward facing dog, 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, feeling the space behind the hip joints, 4, and 5. Gently come down onto the knees, and we'll hold the hands and knees plank for a couple breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stretching the opposite hand. So right leg and left hand, take it up. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Place it back down. Let's go for the other side. Opposites. Right hand and left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taking your hand down. Hands shoulder width apart. Hold it up for plank for a couple breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Walk your feet forward and slide all the way through, coming onto your side. And now we're going to work the hips a little bit. I want you to find your greater trochanter, which is up here. Suck the belly in, and then inhale, lift the leg. Exhale, place it down. Do that 5 times. 1, place it down. 2, place it down. Keep your pelvis real stable and externally rotate the hip joint. So you're learning that external rotation. Let's do that one more time, and this time hold it up. 1, 2, gently lifting your toe. 3, 4, 5. Hold it here. Hold it, and stretch out the leg. Turn it inward. And now we'll work that internal rotation, 5 circles. 1, 2, 3. Keep your pelvis real stable and target inside the hip joint. 3, 4, and 5. We're looking for articulation and movement. Hold it up, belly sucks in, and gently place the knees together. Okay, let's roll over to the other side. Lying gently down. Come on down and find the greater trochanter. Belly sucks in. 1. And be real conscious of not opening your pelvis, but you're going to target inside the hip socket. We're trying to get the feeling of external rotation supported with strength, not just floppy flexibility. So we're using the muscles of the hip to articulate this external rotation. Let's do that 2 more times. And we got 1 more time after this. Take it up, and this time we're gonna up and down. 1, feel the movement controlled by the muscles deep inside the pelvis. 3, 4, 5. Hold it up, steady, 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 and stretch out the leg. After you stretch out the leg, we're going to go for internal rotation. 1, 2, make those long, big circles. 3, 4, and 5. Hold it up, hold it, knees together, stay there for a moment, and come on back up. Now, let's take Dandasana position. Dandasana positions, hold it here for a couple of breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold underneath the knees, bring it up, let the knees drop to the side, and you should feel that same movement of that external rotation as though the knees drop to the side and the greater trochanters slide under. To challenge that sense of what's happening in the pelvis, move forward, looking down, keeping the legs at a diamond shape. Let it be a little active, so you're going to suck the belly quite deeply in and place the elbows down, and we'll hold this for 5. 1, 2, be careful not to round the back, so actively try to lift your sitting bones off of the ground by pushing them back in space. 3, 4, stay here for a few more breaths, getting real deep into the hips. You want to remember, you don't want to feel any pain in the joint itself. Feel the movement and articulation, but no pain in the joints. The muscles can start to stretch and maybe even burn a little bit, but the joints of the body should always be safe in the practice. Okay, let's come on up. And we should be feeling a nice sort of burning sensation or stretching sensation or just sort of awareness around that outer band of the glutes and the upper hamstring. So we'll put those in together, and now Paschimottanasana, which is just about the hamstrings. Hold on to the big toes. Inhale, nice big breath. Exhale, fold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale. And now, I'm going to cross the feet underneath. Just get a little movement through the body. Step back to plank for a moment. Plank, hold the plank. Exhale, easy chaturanga, placing the chest on the ground. Inhale, nice and easy, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Stay in downward facing again for 5, and I want you to really feel the hips moving deep in through the inner body and just really feel the emptiness behind the pubic bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Looking forward, we're going to take the pigeon pose. So come forward in the pigeon pose, placing your right knee behind the right hand, right foot behind the left hand, and settling your hips down to the ground. If you find this hard, you could try to close the knee joint and place yourself more into sort of a half lotus. But if you're working on really opening the hip, you want that shin bone to be parallel with the front of the mat, okay? So hold that for a couple breaths. I want you to feel again that external rotation of the hip joint over there, and then slowly and gently down, we're going to come down right onto the elbows. Make it a little active so you're not just flopping there. Make sure that left kneecap is kind of popped up off the ground and you're actively trying to push the left hip down. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come on back up. Curl those left toes under, and let's step back to the plank pose. Plank, easy down to an easy chaturanga. It's a great chaturanga modification to just go straight down to the ground. Inhale, come on up to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. We'll do the other side, so step the left foot forward, settling that right one down. And now, on this side, you'll be able to see what I mean. A lot of times people will slide off to the side and the hip will be up, or they'll keep the foot back. If the foot is back, you'll protect the knee. So if you have any issues in your knee, you want to close the knee. You want to make sure that that hip, the opposite hip to the one that you're stretching, stays grounded as much as possible. So ideally, in the pigeon stretch, we're going to have the shin bone parallel with the front of the mat. The left knee behind the left hand, the left foot behind the right hand. And again, as you go down, place the elbows down, hands underneath your chin. As the hands are underneath the chin, avoid any tendency to pull the hip back. Push the hip down and really keep that right leg active, like you're trying to lift the kneecap. We'll stay for 5. 1, nice and steady. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Walking the hands gently back. Curl the right toes under. Inhale, come on up. Hold the plank pose for a moment. Exhale down. Inhale, come up to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Step forward this time and we'll come right down to seated. Stretching your legs forward. Okay, I'm going to see if this is possible. Bend the right knee up and drop it to the side. This is a posture called Janu Shirshasana A, and it's going to articulate that external rotation, closing the knee joint, okay? So suck the belly in and fold gently forward. All right, so we'll hold it here for a couple breaths. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale. If that external rotation feels good, we're going to take it to the next level. But if you're feeling like that's enough, I want you to stay there. So if it's over to the side and it feels good, hold on to the foot, keeping the foot and the knee at the same height, working on the half lotus. So you'll notice that what I did is I moved my knee a little forward. So if your hip is open, the pelvis will be slid out to the side. So you want the pelvis to be flat on the back. Never push your knee down in the lotus position. If you decide to fold forward, your knee will eventually reach towards the ground. So we'll fold a little forward, just testing that out. 2, 3, 4, and inhale, gently come up and get out of the lotus by returning yourself to Janushirasana, bringing the leg up and stretching it down. Let's try the other side, and I'm going to face forward for you for the other side. So we'll bend the left knee in, dropping it out to the side and bringing it in. So you'll see that in Janushirasana, there's a tendency of the pelvis to go out to the side, but we want to, as much as possible, turn and square the hips forward so your sacrum is aligned with your extended right leg. Then the belly sucks in, the sternum's forward to the right knee. Inhale, nice big inhalation. Exhale, fold. 1, 2, 3. Give your hip a chance to open. 4, and 5. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale. Come on up, and you're going to keep the foot and the knee at the same height. Slide it over. Find yourself in that half lotus, and the knee ideally is pointed forward. If the knee's pointed to the side, it might indicate that the pelvis is open, squaring the hips forward. A lot of people have ankle pain in half lotus. The first thing to work with ankle pain is to make sure that your foot is close enough into your pelvis. So if you're putting your foot in the middle of your thigh, it's almost impossible to avoid the pain. The second thing is that we want to be able to activate your foot a little bit. So the instep of the foot is going to reach into the hip crease as much as possible. It's going to give you a pretty good lotus. Now, when you fold forward, suck the belly in and lift up over the lotus so that when you fold forward, you're folding pretty much all the way in. All right, so let's test that out for a couple breaths. 2, 3, 4, and let's come on back up, holding it in, and always come out the same way that you went in. So you want to keep the knee joint closed. Now from here, just to release the spine, let's come on back. Inhale, exhale, all the way down. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Walk forward again, and slowly we're going to lie down. Okay. Just going to... Say that again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're just gonna lie down. So bend the knees and just gently reach your torso back. We'll hold constructive rest pose just for a moment. And then bend the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little hug into the chest. Stretch the legs up for a nice easy Viparita Karani. A couple breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's open the legs for an easy reclining straddle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly bring the legs back together. Bend the knees. Nice, easy, happy baby pose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and for a little variation on the happy baby, this is like a lifted diamond pose. So bring the soles of the feet together and lift your sacrum off of the ground, reaching the soles of the feet towards the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Gently push the sacrum back onto the ground, and we'll give a little rock from side to side. I'll just do that a couple times. Right side, over to the left side. One more time. Right side, over to the left side. Hold it back into the center for a moment. Gently bring your knees together and slowly place them down. Constructive rest position for a moment, and all the way down. Close your eyes. Allow yourself to come to rest for a moment, scanning through the inner body. Rest your mind on your hip joints and on the hips for a moment, and just feel the inner space. Is there anything in the hips that maybe needs to come up for healing or for awareness? Are there any sleeping emotions in there? Do you notice any negative self-talk, any self-directive or internalized negativity, frustrations about your body, frustrations or irritations? Allow yourself to make peace with your body. Experience a few moments in a state of total self-acceptance, where you give your body the permission to just be as it is. Make peace with your body. Understand that who you are is enough. The perfect body is the one you have. And just give your body permission to take however long it needs to take to open. With that seed of peace and acceptance planted, allow yourself a deeper inhalation. And as you exhale, bend the knees and the elbows. Pull yourself in for a moment. Rolling over onto your side. Gently come on back to a comfortable seated position. Take your hands together. Inhale. Thanks so much for joining me on the inner discovery of the hips. Namaste.